Stage time to a special guest that I'd like to bring on. Would you like to see a special guest? His name is Peter Hoskins. He's my dad. He's 85. Would you like to hear some Poppy Pete gags? Yeah! The inspiration of why we're even hearing this exists? Yeah? Alright, well, just like everyone else, ladies and gentlemen, give an 85-year-old a bucket list experience.
First thing I want to say is one of the perceptions that the sperm bank says to all the fellas when they're leaving. Thanks for coming! Anyway, I'm going to just tell a few jokes that I've learned over the years. The first one is about this fellow who walks into a pub and you can hear this beautiful piano playing. Can you hear me all right? Yeah! I'm not used to it. And he hears this beautiful piano playing. He calls the barman over. He says, "Barman, where's that music coming from? I can't see anyone playing." He said, "Look under that table over there." And he looks over and he said, "There's a fellow about a foot high playing the piano." He says, "My God, where'd you get him from?" He said, "Well, if you go in the back lane, there's an old lamp halfway down. Rub that and see what happens." So he goes out and he rubs it. And this old genie comes in. He says, "You've got one wish." He thinks for a while and he thinks, "I wish for $1 million. And then soon, the laneways full of $1 million ducks. He comes in the pub. He says, "Oh my God, I wish for $1 million and he gave me $1 million ducks. It's a different battery." And the barman says, yeah, tell me nothing. Do you think I wish for a 12-inch pianist?" There's another bloke, he's a travelling salesman, he's in the country, and he's in a country pub, he's having a schooner, and he looks up. Behind the barman on the shelf is a big bowl full of $50 notes. He says, "Hey barman, what's this with the $50 notes?" Barman said, "Well, we have a competition in this town. We've got a donkey out in the backyard. If you think you can make the donkey laugh, put $50 in, have a go." No one's won it yet. So he has a few more schooners and he thinks, "Well, I'll give it a go." So he puts his money in, he goes out, he's no sooner out in the backyard than everyone hears the donkey. Yo, laughing like that. Comes in, he collects the money. Anyway, a couple of years later, he's in the same town and he's having a drink in the pub and he sees the big jar full of money again and he says, "God, barman, I'll give that a go again." And the barman said, "Oh, we've changed the rules since you were last here. This time you've got to make the donkey cry." Oh, he said, "I'll give it a go." So he goes out the backyard and all of a sudden the donkey's crying. He comes and he collects the money. The barman said, "You buggered our competition, what'd you do? How did you make the donkey laugh?" He said, "Well, the first time I was here, I went out the backyard and I lifted his ear up and I said, 'I've got a bigger doodle than you.'" "Yeah, well, how did you make him laugh?" "This year I showed it to him." Anyway, there's this Scotsman, he was in a retirement village, always walking around with a kilt on. And this old lady came up to me one day and said, "John, I've always wanted to know what you have under that kilt of yours." He said, "Well, put your hand up Monday, let's see if you'll find out." She puts her hand up. "Oh, John," she said, "that's gruesome, that's really gruesome." He said, "Put your hand up again, Lassie, because it's just gruesome more." Anyway, there's this fellow went into the chemist shop. The chemist lady said, "Yes, what would you like?" He said, "I want 99 condoms, please." She said, 99 condoms? He said, yeah, 99. She said, said, 99, well, fuck me. He says, all right, make it 100. This fella's in hospital, he's had an operation, he's lying there with his oxygen mask on. And the nurse comes in, he says, hey nurse, he says, nurse, can you tell me my testicles black? She said, what are your testicles black? They shouldn't be. So she lifts up the blanket, the sheet, pulls up his nightie and pulls back the thing and cups him under the balls and have a good look. She said, no, your testicles aren't black at all. Oh, he said, that was very nice. You misunderstood. I said, are my test results back? Anyway, Sir Peter's a dirty case, and this fella comes in, and Sir Peter said, you can't come in unless you tell us something brave you've done in your life. He said, well, the bravest thing I did in my life, he said, I was walking past this beer garden, and I noticed it was full of bikies, and down the street was all their bikes. But I saw this one fella, big beard and a big leather coat, he was harassing the young ladies at the table. So I walked up and punched him in the mouth, kicked him in the nuts, kicked all their bikes over as I went. Oh, Sir Peter said, that's really something really brave. When did you do that? Oh, he said, about a minute ago. And the two fellas, Bob and Bill, and they both died in a car crash. Bob was talking to Sir Peter and he said, I haven't seen Bill. Where's Bill? And Sir Peter said, oh, Bill wasn't as good as you in life and he didn't make it. I think he's down there. Bob said, oh my God, the poor bugger. Can I see how he's getting on? Sir Peter said, well, it's a bit rare, but we'll look over the edge of heaven and see how he's doing. So they looked over. And there he is on a beautiful beach with a keg of beer and a lovely topless lady beside him. And he says, that's not bad at all, he's doing pretty good, that's really good, I didn't think you like that, didn't it? Speed said, well, it's not quite as good as it seems. I said, why not? He said, well, see that keg? Yeah, it's got a hole in it. Oh, see that lovely lady? Yeah, she hasn't. Anyway, these two ladies were playing golf and they just sit off, and after about 10 minutes, one of them runs back into the clubhouse and says, help, help. And the professional says, what's wrong, what's happened? She said, it's my partner, she's been stung by a bee. She said, oh my God, where's she been stung? She said, between the first and the second hole. He said, oh, tell her her stance is way too wide. Anyway, there was this fellow was in the supermarket shopping and noticed this woman was looking at him all the time. And he said, do I know you? She said, oh, I think you're the father of one of my boys. Oh, he said, my God, are you the stripper that was at Bob's party about 10 years ago who I banged up on the snooker table while the fellas were whipping me on the arse with a celery stick? She said, no, I'm a school teacher. Your son's in my class. Last one coming. There was 3 dogs in the vet's reception, 2 Labradors and a big Great Dane. Big Great Dane. The Great Dane says to the first Labrador, what are you here for? He said, oh, I'm being desexed. I've been digging holes all over the garden. My owner thinks if I get desexed, it'll stop me doing that. And he says the other one, what are you here for? He said, well, he said, I've been pooing everywhere. And the same thing, my owner thinks it'll settle me down if I get the chop. Then they said to the Labrador, what are you here for? He said, oh my God, he said, I've been humping everything. I've been humping all the furniture and kids' toys, I can't help myself. Worst of all, this morning, when the master went to work, the mistress had a shower, and when she came out of the shower and bent over to dry her toes, I just couldn't help myself. Oh, they said the two. No wonder you're here for the chop. He said, oh, no. I'm here to get my fingernails clipped. I don't know.
Down in history. Have you had a good first half? Awesome. We're going to take a 10-minute break. Then we'll resume here. So we're bang on 20, which is 9:20.